Hello, my beautiful yellowbone, redbone, butter pecan, caramel, butterscotch, toffee, mocha, chocolate, cocoa exoticals. Welcome to the Pretty Girl Club. Welcome to the Exoticals United community. If you are new here, welcome. Here in the Exoticals United community, we support men and women from the following people groups: multiracials, biracials, multi-generationally mixed, and light-skinned golden people. Everything I say in this series should be taken with a grain of salt. Use these strategies at your own risk. Are you ready, pretty girls? Let's get into it. First, I want to discuss the advantages of pretty privilege. Number one, you have the halo effect. The halo effect is when people associate beauty with other positive qualities, such as intelligence, confidence, empathy, power, and skill. A lot of people talk about how MLS people in particular are pressured into being the leaders of the African American community. Well, this is a prime example of the halo effect. People expected someone like Rosa Parks to be more likely to succeed. Why? Because Rosa Parks was viewed as a more attractive, more quote unquote acceptable version of a black woman. Now, do I agree with that? Absolutely not. However, this is the society we live in, people. Okay, people tend to subconsciously stereotype pretty women as having other positive qualities. Now, this is a stereotype that you want to have. Who doesn't want to be seen as kind, intelligent, or talented? Also, has anyone ever noticed that a lot of less attractive women will purposely try to attack a pretty woman's character? It's because they're trying to destroy your halo effect that they know is working in your favor. Number two, social power. When you are an attractive person, you naturally get more attention. The word attractive in and of itself means that you're able to get attention simply based on how you look. You're able to get eyes on you, you're always having people stare at you, some people may even be intimidated by you. Your existence triggers people. Your existence stirs up other people's emotions. You can use these emotions that other people have to your advantage. Has anyone ever noticed that a lot of people tend to call a pretty girl mean or a bully? The pretty girl may not actually be a bully, but if she chooses not to pay attention to certain people, it can make them feel inferior or invisible. This is why I say that there's no need for pretty girls to go out and humble other women. We don't have to say anything to humble others. All we have to do is ignore them, and they will be humbled naturally because they already put you on a pedestal. When you're attractive, people put a lot more weight on your behaviors. People pay more attention to your facial expressions, your tone of voice, and people analyze you more because you're more noticeable to them. You stand out to them. The third benefit of pretty privilege is dating options. Every guy wants a beautiful woman. This gives you a massive amount of leverage in the dating marketplace, the sexual marketplace, and the marriage marketplace. And yes, those are three different things. The marriage marketplace is for those who are looking for marriage and sometimes kids as well. These are people who may already have children and they're looking for someone to fill a step-parent role, whether they are a single mother or a single father with kids. The marriage marketplace is where people are usually looking for someone to dedicate their life to them. They're looking for access to things like increased financial stability, someone who will birth or raise their children, or someone to build a home with. Pretty privilege helps you here because for those who want children, the person that you're dating will greatly take into consideration how you look and how their potential kids will look. This gives you a huge amount of leverage as a pretty woman. Why do you think a lot of successful, unambiguous black men get with mixed race women or women of other races? Well, it's because they want to create mixed race children. They want to create quote unquote light skinned children because they view that as more attractive. Am I saying that I agree with that? Absolutely not. However, if you would like to use your pretty privilege to your advantage in this area, you can. You have a huge amount of leverage as a pretty woman. It's also extremely validating for a man to have a gorgeous woman who has dedicated her life to him and chosen to be with him forever. A lot of pretty privileged women also have the option of using marriage as a means for increased lifestyle and financial stability. Again, I'm not saying I agree or disagree with any of these things. You guys are free to do what you want, okay? We are burning our capes. We will not live our lives on other people's terms. Here in the Pretty Girl Club, we like to live life on our own terms. Okay, now let's talk about the dating market. These are people who may just want to go on dates, date around, have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, or a domestic partnership without the legal institution of marriage. Or some people will start off in the dating market and then they'll get engaged, and then, now they're kind of like in the marriage market because their end goal is marriage. Pretty women also have a massive advantage in this market because what man doesn't want a live-in Instagram model cooking, cleaning, going on dates with him, and sleeping with him regularly? There are plenty of guys who would love to have a hot girlfriend, even if she ends up dumping him after a while. We've all seen the tales of the quote-unquote simp or the guy who wanted the pretty girl so bad to the point where he was willing to do anything for her. I've even heard of husbands leaving their wives so they can go get a new girlfriend. Not even a new wife, just a new girlfriend. Anyway, let's move on to the sexual marketplace. These are people who are looking for sex, whether it's casual or friends with benefits, sexual validation, or sex in exchange for things like money, trips, or bills paid. Pretty women have an advantage here as well. Once again, every guy wants a beautiful woman. I've never in my life heard a guy say, "I want a woman who's as ugly as possible." No, he wants a pretty girl. So no matter which marketplace you decide to put yourself in, as a pretty girl, your beauty gives you power. Now let's get into the beauty archetypes. When I use the term beauty archetype, I'm talking about what your beauty symbolizes. The term archetype means a symbol or a motif often found in a TV show, a movie, or a book. You can use beauty archetypes to your advantage. You know how guys make comments and they say, "she's not my type." Well, when they use that word type, they're talking about a specific archetype of the kind of woman they want. Some guys want a glamorous girl, other guys want a girl next door. Some guys even have a racial type, like wanting a white girl, and they don't care how she looks. You get the point. Every woman has her own version of beauty, and each version will grant you a different type of pretty privilege depending on the scenario you're in. Are you a tomboy beauty, an ethereal beauty, a professional beauty? Let's go over the different archetypes. This beauty archetype uses things like athleticism, baggy clothing, and natural sexiness to her advantage. Maybe you're one of those girls who is blessed with a six-pack, or you're blessed with sports skills. There's a certain beauty and effortlessness associated with this archetype, and it's very appealing to men, especially athletic types of men. So when it comes to clothing, you may find yourself wearing a lot of clothes that are baggy, like those baggy jeans, those cropped t-shirts, graphic tees, and monochromatic sweatsuits. Some of the tomboy exotical beauties also have a 90s or a Y2K flair in their style, which does a good job at attracting a lot of attention from millennial and Gen Z guys. So if that's the range you're going for, you already have an advantage right there. The way that you can use the tomboy beauty archetype to your advantage is to get into local sports. Does your city have a basketball league, a running club, maybe a soccer or a volleyball team? Some cities even have kickball teams that you can join. I've also noticed a pattern where a lot of women with this tomboy athletic beauty also happen to be really good at dancing, hip-hop dancing in particular. It may benefit you to join a dance team or to go to social events where you can show off your dancing skills if you're in that age range. If you're in your 30s and 40s, I don't know, they may have some bars or clubs where they have nights for old people, I'm not sure. But usually the younger girls tend to embody this tomboy exotical beauty type the most, which is why I recommend either clubs or sports groups if you're trying to be seen or increase your pretty privilege to get what you want. The second exotical archetype, and this is one of my favorites, this is the professional beauty. This is a woman who carries herself with a lot of class. You may be seen wearing lots of pearls, kitten heels, and pencil skirts. These are the women who tend to have high-end careers or they're working towards them. The best place to use the professional pretty privilege is, you guessed it, in the workplace. Using pretty privilege in the workplace can be very beneficial, especially if you're a single woman and looking for financial stability. Studies show that the halo effect is very prevalent in professional settings, and pretty women are more likely to be associated with being smart and competent. If you're looking to catch the attention of a professional man, it would be a good idea to work at a large company with thousands of people. You can try eating your lunches alone in a public break area where it will be easy for you to get approached, or you can network by visiting the cubicles in other departments and learning about what they do. For those of you who follow me in Discord, you know that I have used this beauty archetype to my advantage in the workplace, and some amazing things have happened in my career because of it. Some of you ladies may have experienced having lunches bought for you, which saves you money on groceries. And maybe people in the workplace have offered to teach you new skills for free, which you were able to use to move up in your career. Or maybe you were simply able to get away with more shit because you're pretty. In any case, pretty privilege in the workplace is a very powerful thing. Being pretty can be used in the case of workplace harassment, because people are very aware of the fact that beautiful women are often targeted in the workplace due to their looks. So if you ever find anyone targeting you on purpose, like let's say you have a girl that's hating on you, you can easily report her and you are more likely to be believed, because it's common knowledge that people either want to sabotage the pretty woman or they want to sexually harass that woman. So don't be afraid to speak up in the workplace about bullies, especially if you have pretty privilege working in your favor. Pretty privilege can definitely help you in terms of job interviews as well. Attractive people are more likely to come off as professional, especially if you know how to dress well or you're doing a job that requires dealing with a lot of people, like sales, or jobs where you have to do a lot of presentations. If you're an exotical who is using your pretty privilege in the workplace to advance your career or to flirt, be sure to attend all of the large meetings looking your best, because you never know who you could meet. Anytime you invest in your looks, you're investing in yourself. So make sure to join professional groups, make friends in other departments, and get to know people in your field. As you all know, I've had multiple careers throughout my 20s because I'm crazy like that, but some of the organizations I've been a part of are the National Association of Black Journalists, the PRSSA, the American Marketing Association, and a bunch of other ones. These are good examples of places you can go to network and meet new people. And maybe you will even get taken out in the process, especially if you work in a male-dominated field. Here's another tip for pretty and feminine women. Make sure to work in a male-dominated field. Do not work in a career field where you will be dealing with a lot of jealous women, because those less attractive women will try to sabotage your career. I have heard plenty of horror stories about this, and I'm sure you ladies have too. So you want to stay away from fields where basic betties are in charge. I'm talking about healthcare administration. I'm talking about HR. I'm talking about administration of any kind, really. I told you guys the story about how I once worked for an overweight, unambiguous woman in my 20s, and she would do things like put her hands in the back of my natural hair, curse at me in the office, and she eventually ended up firing me once the higher-ups started to notice that I was doing a better job than her. It worked out in the end because they had to pay me for wrongful termination, but still, the whole situation could have been avoided if I would have just chosen to work around people who appreciate beauty as opposed to women who hate younger, attractive women. Do I sound conceited by saying that? Yes. Do I care? No. If you're working in a male-dominated field, simply being the only feminine presence in the room is going to make you stand out. Imagine walking into a meeting looking like a goddess, and you're in a room full of men that weren't expecting you. You're already going to have everyone's attention right there. Use that to your advantage. Use that to get what you want. Start talking about your workload and see if you can get some of the guys in the office to do some of your extra tasks. Or you can see if you can get additional training. Use that pretty privilege to date whatever professional guy you may come across who captures your interest. Your femininity is your power. Beauty is a form of social power. This is the Dark Femininity series. We are not playing nice over here. We're not playing fair in a world that's not fair. We can't expect for everyone else to have perfect morals all the time. We can't expect for other people not to stereotype us. So we as pretty women need to use stereotypes in our favor. We need to use our looks in our favor. We want these things to work for us, okay? But here are a few examples of some things that I've personally received in the workplace by simply being feminine, dressing up, and speaking well. So number one is an internship at a very famous, world-renowned news station. The recruiter noticed me when I was at a black journalism convention because she liked my outfit, and so I struck up a conversation with her. She was actually an unambiguous woman. Not all unambiguous women are bad, okay? She kept my resume on file and she handed it over to the people in the office, and the next thing I know, I had an internship without even having to interview. Number two, breakfast and lunches bought for me at jobs by doctors when I worked in a medical center. I used to always dress up, and even when I was only working as a receptionist, again, that can be a toxic place, by the way, admin. But anyway, I would always wear like my neon pink button up shirts with like teal pencil skirts and matching high heels, or my curly hair. I'd put it in a high bun with curls kind of hanging down to frame the front of my face. Think of a modern day hairstyle from Bridgerton. This hairstyle with a bright yet professional outfit caused me to stand out. And then before I knew it, people on all four of the floors of the medical center knew my name. Soon enough, different people began offering to buy me breakfast or lunch or whatever. So, since I was a broke receptionist at the time, these free meals were a great way to save money while still eating high quality oatmeal and acai bowls every morning. It pays to be pretty, okay? Exotical tax! Who doesn't want to receive a free, healthy meal every day? Another thing that you can get granted by using the professional beauty archetype is a promotion. So, for example, in my own career, because of the way that I carried myself, I was often granted new roles or responsibilities. I would list those things on my resume, and then I used those things to get promoted within the same company or to switch careers entirely and go to a new company. In fact, this is a part of how I've been able to switch careers so easily. The way you carry yourself at your job matters. Use the halo effect to your advantage. I remember when I started off working in administration. I was working receptionist jobs and I hated being surrounded by jealous, haggardly women. You know those old ladies that have like fried hair and cigarette lips? Yeah, those are the types of ladies that I was surrounded by when I worked as a receptionist in healthcare administration. So you know they were jealous. I got tired of these women constantly trying to sabotage me, and I wanted out. So I began using the professional beauty archetype to my advantage and making friends with higher ups in the companies. With a little bit of lip gloss and a whole lot of charisma, I was able to weasel my way into my first program coordinator job in my mid-20s. This job was a good career switch for me because instead of being surrounded by midlife crisis receptionists who were stagnant in their careers, I was able to use the new connections I made with doctors and nurses to become an admin working behind the scenes with nurse educators, most of which were male. See, this is where patriarchy can actually be turned on its head and used to your advantage. Pretty women have an advantage when working directly under male supervisors as long as the male supervisor is not a perv. If you are a pretty woman, do not, and I repeat, do not work in female-dominated fields. Some of the worst areas for beautiful exoticals to work include administration and human resources. Oftentimes nursing as well, if you are working directly with other nurses and you're not really working with a lot of male doctors, these female-dominated fields and jealous women will try to sabotage you. Nursing can be bad if you are working under female doctors. Thankfully, like I said, a lot of doctors are male, and if you're a beautiful feminine nurse, you might have an easier time as long as the other female nurses are not trying to sabotage you. Nursing is already stressful enough as a career. You don't need the added weight of other women trying to destroy you and ruin your beauty by causing you stress. Remember, stress makes you uglier. The cortisol levels in your body cause weight gain in your stomach, wrinkles, gray hair, and even hair loss. No job is worth having all of these issues, okay? So please use your pretty privilege to switch careers and get your exotical tax. The third exotical beauty archetype is the ethereal beauty. An example of this type of beauty is Halle Bailey from The Little Mermaid, or the girl from The Cosby Show. I can't remember her name, but I will put her on the screen when I find her picture. This beauty archetype works very well if you want to get into the creative arts. These types of beauties tend to have a very soft look, and they often have more of a fantasy look as well. When I think of ethereal beauty, I think about the types of girls who do things like LARPing or going to Renaissance festivals or cosplaying, so those would be good places to go where you can be seen and exercise your pretty privilege. Ethereal women also tend to have a very innocent look as well, which can really work in your favor if you want to persuade someone into doing something for you. The next beauty archetype is the bombshell. The bombshell beauty archetype usually uses sexuality to her advantage. These are the women who have very nice bodies and they show them off. They use the power of suggestion to seduce and get what they want. If you have this beauty archetype, you can easily use it in the nightlife scene or the bar scene because the bombshell look is the face of the nightclub scene. Have you ever seen those flyers for parties and clubs? There's always a bombshell looking woman on the flyer with a nice body wearing tight clothing that shows off her figure. Bombshells often do the best on social media or platforms like OnlyFans for obvious reasons. So if you have the bombshell look, definitely make sure that you are in front of a lot of people. Make sure that you're in front of a lot of guys who like your phenotype, and use that so you can either make money or have the lifestyle that you want. The next beauty archetype is the girl next door. This type of beauty is mainly natural. These are women who let their flaws shine through and they embrace them. A lot of girls next door tend to be very down to earth and likable. This beauty archetype is very good in the marriage marketplace because people generally associate the girl next door with being sweet and loyal. When I think of the girl next door beauty archetype, I think of women like Janae Aiko, Alicia Keys, Megan Good, and anyone who embraces their natural beauty a lot and tends to have more of a conservative, long-term appeal. The girl next door is often seen as a type that a man might see himself settling down with and starting a family with because this type of woman is viewed as very reliable. Also, the girl next door beauty tends to be less threatening to other women due to her great personality and being very sweet. And so, again, this can be used in your favor as well. By the way, I believe that every woman should be able to pull off all of these archetypes because there's more than one way to be a woman. By the way, I'm not even scratching the surface of the different beauty archetypes. In fact, you guys can go ahead and comment down below whatever you think your beauty archetype is. Some other ones that I didn't really research as much, but some that I can think of off of the top of my head are like the alternative beauty archetype. I think of women like Willow Smith, even Rihanna. I think about the super glam beauty archetype. So this is the type of woman who has a pageant look, or somebody who's just, their hair's done, their makeup's done, their nails are done, they're very sparkly, they stand out a lot. I think of women like Beyonce, like with all these gold gowns and silver gowns, like just nobody can take their eyes off of you because you are just in the center of the room. By the way, pretty privilege is not just centered around getting into a relationship. It's about you putting your best foot forward so that you can be treated better by both men and women, in the workplace or in your social circle. Feeling beautiful is something that enhances your self-worth, and that's really all this is about. This is about validating yourself by making your own body and your own face and your own hair and nails look as pretty as possible. So, taking care of yourself, wearing clothes that fit well, or dressing for your body type, all of these things will increase your confidence and self-esteem over time because you will begin to see the progress that you've made. And when you look back at old photos of yourself, you're going to be like, wow, I've really come a long way. I've really had a glow up. Before we can go out and achieve our goals in the world, we have to achieve some personal goals first, because that's what helps boost our mindset and makes us ready to achieve the next level of our goals. You can't pour from an empty cup. When you do everything in your power to look and feel your best, that's a way of pouring into yourself. When you look your best, it's one less thing you have to worry about. So you won't be in a job interview worrying about all the pimples on your face if you take care of your skin. You won't be on a date wondering if you look fat in your dress because you'll be in shape. Building your own pretty privilege gives you one less thing to worry about, and it makes you feel ready to conquer other things. If you stay ready, you won't have to get ready. And when an opportunity pops up, you'll be able to get your exotical tax because you won't have fear and insecurities holding you back. I saw an article online that said beauty is the #1 insecurity found in women. So if you look your absolute best, you're already at a huge advantage in life. How do you build your pretty privilege? Did your confidence increase when you began to look better? Did your dating options increase? Let me know in the comments section and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty and keep getting that exotical tax.